Good morning. So this morning we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be tying a 3D printed popper onto a hook and then making a popper, basically. Surf popper style, but I'm not quite sure what colours I'm going to do yet. So the base hook that I'm using here is a size 1 saltwater streamer hook. It's quite a big hook, a bit bigger than I'd normally fish with where I normally fish, but I guess we'll see what happens. The main reason I've chosen that particular hook today is because of this. So this is a 3D printed popper head. It's got a groove in it, which the hook sits in. So this particular popper head's made out of PLA, which isn't ideal for this application. PLA does absorb water, so we are going to have to finish it off with resin to seal it. I think if I'm going to try this more, I'll probably try to shrink the head a little bit so it goes on a size 2, and so that and then reprint it in something like ABS, so that it doesn't have that. So it's a stronger head that where the plastic won't absorb the water. If you can see there's a little groove where the hook slots into, so I'll try to locate that now. Now ideally as well, I want a longer shank hook, but I'm just having a play around today. So I guess we'll see how we go. I'll mainly be using this for targeting salmon in the surf. So it's not it's probably a little bit too big for this application. I need to play around with the design. This isn't my design. I found this on Thingiverse, so I might have a play in Fusion to see if I can come up with my own design that I like the shape of a bit better. But yeah, as you can see, this particular design sits nicely on a size 1. I tried it on a longer shank 2.0 that I had, just out of my normal surf fishing kit, which isn't a dedicated streamer hook, but unfortunately the groove that's in it didn't locate nicely. So yeah, I guess we'll see how we go. I'm going to be using some pretty strong colours on this because it's a little bit absurd, but I guess we'll see how we go. I'm just going to be using cheaper fibres today because I don't want to waste my good ones. So let's get started. I really don't know how I'm going to do this. I haven't actually done this before. I decided that I'm going to just go live. I think the first thing that we might do though is just get some resin all over the body. So I'm going to use some cheaper UV resin. I actually bought this at Spotlight for 15 bucks. It's not as nice as the Solarez stuff to work with, but we're having an experiment, so we'll see how we go. This is a very viscous resin, so it's not that ideal for fly fishing. I happened to just be at Spotlight and found some. So it, as I said, it's not the best, but for this application I think it'll be alright rather than wasting my good Solarez stuff. It's actually not bad. When this cures, it's a little bit tacky though, which I don't like. It's sold for manufacturing or DIY jewelry, like you put it in molds and you make little jewels and stuff out of and fill it with sparkles, but yeah, not what I wanted for my application. Anyway, enough of that. I've seen a lot of people like airbrush their popper heads and stuff. I might have a go at that at some point, but right now I'm just having a play, and you get to play along with me. So we've really coated that in the resin. The kids' toy emergency. That wasn't ideal. Alright, so let's just cure this resin. So the other part of this was to set the popper head onto the hook, because the way this popper head was designed, and it's a good design, I'm not bagging the designer at all, it's just that it has that groove in it where the hook sort of locates, but it really needs to be set on the hook with glue. And why not use resin instead? As I said, this resin that I'm using, I'm not a fan of it. It's not fly tying resin, it is jewellery making resin. But it will do the job. And hopefully, yeah, it's still a bit tacky. When I do a final coat, I will use the Solarez resin, just so that the final coat isn't so tacky. But yeah, as you can see, it's actually done a pretty good job. So, because this hook isn't quite long enough, I'm going to have some difficulties actually tying on some fibres, but we'll see how we go. So let's do a white on the bottom. I don't know, this is a stupid fly anyway, so I'll just make it an absurd amount. White stuff. Fish probably won't care. It's a popper. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, about that much. I don't know. I will revisit this design so that I've got a bit more of a, once I've got a bit more of a conceptual understanding of what I want to achieve. Tell you what, we might decorate it properly first before we put the fibres on. What can I do with this? Maybe I'll put on some absurdly thick Flashabou as a lateral. Yeah, that sounds like fun. So I'm going to use 2mm Flashabou, I think. I had been thinking about potentially painting it with nail polish or something, but I need to go visit the chemist as my wife doesn't have anything that sort of meets the colours that I want. So we'll try that. I guess the benefit of having this sort of resin as your base is it's already really tacky. It holds things like streamer material onto what you're doing actually pretty well. So I'm not sure if you can see that. I might go a couple. Nah, I like that. We'll trim it though. So then on the other side. This model, I'm not sure if you can see in the video that well, but it does have sort of spots for you to put your eyes. So I'll get this on, I'll get the eyes on. I think, most, here's a popper that I bought from BCF. You can sort of see the type of thing that I'm going for. I don't have any nail polish or anything, but I think you do want to colour off that end bit just to give it a little bit of added riz. The eyes that I'm going to put on this, I think I might go a what's this? 5/16 of an inch. I don't know what that is in millimeters. It's probably the biggest eye that I've got. Probably would even want to go a bit bigger, ideally. But I was talking to one of my friends who owns one of the fishing shops near where I live, and he says to put, when he's doing his flies, tying poppers or something like that, he puts a big eye right in the actual gurgler bit of the popper head, which it's an interesting concept. Fish generally just go for eyes, so it's important to get your eyes right. But yeah, I am not going to do that because I think that would look silly. Doesn't matter, you know, from a does it catch fish perspective. I have a particular aesthetic I like to go for, and that is not that aesthetic. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm not saying that there is, but the sort of look that I'm looking to achieve, it's important that it looks at least a little bit like a fish. Philosophically, not practically. I'm not a practical person. I wouldn't fly fish in the surf with a fucking spay rod if I was a practical person. Alright. So I mean that looks alright, I guess. Got a bit of flash on it. Yeah, that'll do. I'll give it a thin coat of UV. This will be the Solarez. I'll really try to just make sure the eyes get a good amount around them. I'm not sure how dedicated to the cause I am here. It is important to cover your Flashabou though, because having that resin coating really brings out the shine of it. I mean, it's not important to do that because the water will achieve that effect anyway, but you know, as I said, aesthetically it's important to me because I'm looking at it outside of the water. It needs to look nice to me too. This is wasting a lot of resin. Maybe I should have just coated it with a cheaper spotlight stuff. But you know, this does have a better finish. It won't be as tacky to the touch. It won't collect sand and grit the same way that the Spotlight cheaper Jeweler's UV resin will. It's probably a pretty decent coating. I'll give the popper mouth a bit of a go too. Let's see how this goes. Now, this camera's probably better run out of battery, so well, when you're doing your curing, it's really important that you get all of the bits down. I've just put UV resin on the good scissors. Not having a good day this morning. Alright, let's just set that down. There we go. Now, the other good thing about UV resin in this instance, especially when we're talking about something like coating and finishing a 3D print, we're really also smoothing it out. So 3D prints, especially FDM style printers, they print in layers. And in this instance, the layer height was 0.1 of a millimeter, which is a fine print, but it still gives you visible lines. So putting the UV resin, or any clear coat over the print sort of helps to hide that line and make it a little bit more aesthetically appealing. As I said, I did print this in PLA, so we do need to make sure that we coat it quite thoroughly in order to seal that plastic and make sure that it doesn't absorb water, because PLA will absorb water. It would, as I have already said, it would be better to print in something like an ABS, but I had the white PLA loaded to the printer and I couldn't be stuffed changing it. At least not for the purposes of this experiment. So I'll trim my wastage off the side, and it's actually come up alright. Like it's actually looking okay so far, I think. You know, this Solarez resin does really stink though. Kind of smells like eucalyptus. I was shocked. But not a good eucalyptus. Like a very, very strange eucalyptus smell. So there we go. That's the pop head. It's actually turned out pretty well. Maybe I'd try it with a nail polish of some sort. I could even try dyeing the resin that I used, add a bit of food colouring in it or something, I don't know. Alright, so the fibre, cheap Chinese fibre. As I said, the hook shank's probably not long enough. I would ideally have a longer hook shank, but I don't. Maybe I need to take a trip to Chris's shop. So we will tie on just a little base of whatever of the hook we've actually got available to us. As you can see, I'm not really doing a good job of this. Getting around that big shank. We will just need a little bit of shank to be able to get the material on. And I guess we'll build it up a bit to try to get it to blend into the body of the popper. Oh no! Well, that's not ideal, is it? Oh well, you get to see me fail here, guys. But that's what this channel's all about. Me failing. Probably going to resin the crap out of this, so I don't know if I'm going to bother to strip this off. As I said, this is more of an experiment for myself than anything. I'll just really tie this in. I hadn't even really considered how I'm going to whip finish this, but that's a problem for later. Flashabou actually sort of looks alright. Okay, bit of a base on. We'll try some absurdly long fibres. This Chinese stuff that I bought, you know, it's really not good to work with. I like cheap. I'm a big fan of cheap, but sometimes, you know, especially in this sort of situation, you get what you pay for, and it's not good. I've tied a few other flies with it, and I'm, you know, not particularly enamoured with it. That's okay. Alright, so we got something there. It's looking alright. Let's try a blue maybe. Oh no, we'll do some Crystal Flash too, I think. I like Crystal Flash. It makes me happy. Again, I'm just being absurdly generous with the amounts I'm doing, because this is an absurd fly. Probably a bit of a waste of crystal flash to do this, but you know, it is what it is. I'll try to bring this back and tie the wastage in. There you go. Now, let's try some blue on the end. That's why my thread's breaking. Again, it's a same cheap Chinese Bucktail simulator. But, I mean, it's okay. It's not really... I don't know. It's got a memory. It's clanky and doesn't fluff up and sort of looks too uniform. Yeah, there's probably ways to make it work, but I don't know. I don't regret buying it. It was $3 on AliExpress, but you know, it's not. It's not what you go for if you're looking for, you know, getting very specific sort of movement. It doesn't move all that well in the water. Yeah, even with that limited amount of shank that I had to tie on, it's actually not doing too bad. Well, let's whip this and see what happens. My whip finish is not big enough to get around the head. There we go. This really is a quick and dirty fly. As I said, I will play around with the model. I will try to shrink it a bit so it fits on a size 2 or even a size 4 hook of a standard shank length. I mean, it's not too bad. I'm not really going for perfection here. There you go. That's a 3D printed popperhead. I really could have done a better job with that tie-in, but when I figure out the hook sizes and the whatevers, I'll revisit this design on this channel. But yeah, there you have it. One quick and dirty popperhead. I might go through my wife's nail polish collection, see if there's anything in there that suits. Actually doesn't look too bad. Oh, I'll fish it next time I go out and see what I catch. Thanks for watching.